Ranked as the most corrupt Southeast Asian country, Cambodia is about to have an election. But with the main opposition party banned from participating, it's being widely condemned as a sham. Not that you'll read that in the local press. The country's head of taxation has been accused of forcing the closure of independent media. But what has he got to hide?
I don't want to talk about it.
I'm Steve Chow. On this episode, 101 East investigates Cambodia's brutal crackdown in the lead-up to the national election.
It's Monday morning in the Cambodian People's Party headquarters in the capital Phnom Penh. Having ruled the country for more than 3 decades, the party's propaganda machine is well oiled. Spokesman Sokazan is presenting his program, True Voices for People, live on Facebook and on 17 government-owned radio stations across the country. Except those with an opposing opinion. In the past 5 years, as support for the main opposition party surged, the world's longest-serving Prime Minister, Hun Sen, launched a brutal campaign against it. Opposition politicians have been beaten, more than a dozen jailed, the party's leader held indefinitely on treason charges, and then the final blow. 9 months before the election, the party was outlawed for conspiring with the United States to overthrow the government. Meet Pix Ross. He's been accused of acting for the ruling party when he filed a complaint against the opposition that led to its demise.
I complain them because they are opposite the law.
His evidence? A 2013 video of the former opposition leader, Kem Sokha.
No ទីក្រុង Washington DC នៅទីក្រុង Montreal ប្រទេសកាណាដាដែលអាមេរិកគេជួលមកដើម្បីធ្វើការផ្ដល់មតិឲ្យខ្ញុំរបៀបជាយុទ្ធសាស្ត្រក្នុងការផ្លាស់ប្ដូរមេដឹកនាំ
That is show him under USA government. If the politician in Cambodia under other country, it's wrong, opposite of the law in Cambodia.
Pix Ross is now leading the campaign for his own Cambodian Youth Party, one of the 20 mostly new parties contesting the July 29 election. But once again, he finds himself fending off accusations he and his party are puppets of Hun Sen. And he insists it's his own money behind his party.
I sell my land, I sell my house, I sell my car, just before I have a good cars and comfortable cars. But for now I use the old car and maybe niche this ring.
Cambodia is a failing democracy. We are a one-party state.
Nali Piloj is the director of one of Cambodia's oldest and most respected human rights organisations, Likhado.
If you look closely at some of these parties, the other 19, except for one tiny one, they're all aligned in some ways and they all popped up recently. So this is not a multi-party election. This is a non-competitive election. The
one and only party that Nali Piloj says is independent is this one, the grassroots Democratic Party set up in 2015. Today its candidates are meeting on the outskirts of Phnom Penh to talk election strategy. Sangkoma is a party founder and its prime ministerial candidate. The portrait of his party's co-founder is an eerie reminder of just how treacherous Cambodian politics can be. In July 2016, Kem Lay was shot dead in a Phnom Penh cafe. One of the country's most fearless critics of the ruling party, he's widely believed to have been a victim of a political assassination.
A lot of people try to convince me, to warn me that to be careful. I say, well, no, I know what I'm doing. So to me, I have no choice. I have to continue this mission.
Like the people they hope to represent, most of the candidates have little money. And with the campaign budget coming out of their pockets, funds are limited. So Sangkoma's encouraging party members to be creative, like recording policy messages for Facebook.
So we have thousands of people are doing like that. Okay.
Excellent. So it's like grassroots media.
Yeah, sure.
When there's no independent media.
Yeah. We have to find alternative. We have to find a way out forward.
It's not only the main political opposition party that's been destroyed in the lead up to the election. The independent media has been decimated too. The alleged new weapon, taxation. Last September, after 24 years in operation, one of the country's most fearless newspapers, the Cambodia Daily, was forced to shut down when it received a tax bill of $6.3 million. Its final headline pulled no punches. The Cambodia Daily's former manager, Douglas Steele, and owner-publisher, Deborah Krisha Steele, are currently living in Tokyo. Back in Cambodia, they both face criminal charges for tax evasion, carrying a prison sentence of up to 6 years.
They chose essentially a number that was unpayable and were very hardline about that.
Steele vehemently denies evading tax, but concedes the company may have owed the department some money.
The whole country is coming into the tax system. Most businesses are still not registered. You're going from a 0% compliance to a normal system, and we were moving along in that process. We got singled out because they didn't like us.
Your Excellency, Marianne Jolly from Al
Hi,
Jazeera.
Mary.
The man who's overseeing the tax reforms is Vibol Kong, the Director General of the Taxation Department. A member of the ruling party's elite Central Committee, today we meet him in his palatial office on the top floor of the department.
We have done a tremendous reform on the revenue because the government realized that for the country to move forward, for the development of the country, we need revenue to expand.
Vibol Kong refutes accusations his department has targeted independent media.
I think that statement is not true, it's false.
But some people would say that it's an amazing coincidence that 4 of the only independent news organisations in this country received very large tax bills.
It's not true. Regardless of independent newspaper or not independent newspaper, they are subject to the rule of law here. That's my role here.
The United States government isn't convinced. In January, it withdrew funding from the tax department, citing concerns about anti-democratic behaviour.
Cambodia Daily, when they receive a tax bill, they jump to talk to diplomatics, to the embassy, to international community, by discrediting the government that the government target them. But actually, we are not targeting anybody. What about 10,000 of other companies in which we are auditing? They never complain anything. Why only Cambodia Daily?
But a search of the Cambodian company registry reveals Vibol Kong's family appears to own a very large business and may have some questions to answer. One of the biggest petroleum companies in the country, it was incorporated in 2008, but according to the records here, it didn't register with the tax department until March 2017, the same time as the Cambodia Daily.
It says on the company register that it only registered for taxation in 2017.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm just trying to understand whether perhaps your own family company has been audited to determine tax owed prior to when it registered with the department in 2017.
No, it's not true. It has been registered a long time ago.
So that date on the official Cambodia company registry is wrong?
Wrong.
Okay.
Maybe they put in the system wrong.
When I mention the company registry also shows that 2 directors and a chairwoman, all relatives, live at his home address, it seems those records are wrong too.
You talk about to the wrong person. I think I have nothing related to this company.
But they share a home address with you?
No, I think long time ago. But I got nothing to do with that.
But those details are on the Cambodian company registry that's now online, which has been newly put online.
Yeah, but I think it's wrong.
It's wrong?
Yeah, it's wrong.
Right. So your family has no association with that company anymore?
No. We sold long time ago. I think maybe they used my address before, but they never been. And I don't know when they sold.
Right.
Yeah.
If that isn't actually their place of residence, it would raise real questions about what kind of arrangements have been made with regard to this company. What is his interest in the company? Is he in some way profiting from the benefits of the company in a way that is not transparent? It might be completely legitimate, but it is raising red flags that are worthy of questioning and investigation.
Company in Australia, he's a sole director. Mark Zernzak is one of Australia's leading anti-money laundering experts. He finds it extraordinary that Vibol Kong's family wouldn't have updated the registry if the company had been sold.
Normally there would be an obligation to update the registry to accurately reflect who the new owners are. You wouldn't still allow yourself to be listed as the owner because you're carrying liabilities for the operations of that company.
Vibol Kong has financial questions to answer in Australia too. In Cambodia, his official salary is less than $1,000 a month, and he has no other known sources of income. But here in the southeastern city of Melbourne, he has millions of dollars worth of property and has established numerous companies. The company behind recent property purchases is Panarid Pty Limited, set up in 2011. Vibol Kong is the sole director. Under Australian corporate law, sole directors of companies must live in the country. This is the address Vibol Kong has given as his to the Australian Securities and Investments Commission. But having lived in Cambodia since 1993 and worked as a senior government official, he clearly doesn't reside here.
It's of great concern here that we've got a senior foreign government official giving an address that does not appear to be his place of residence. That would be a breach of Australian corporations law if that is not his place of residence. So it's a huge red flag.
I understand that you have several $1 million worth of property in Australia. How have you accumulated that sort of wealth?
Where did you get those information?
From Australian records, publicly available records. I understand that you have a company called Panarid Pty Limited. It appears you have broken corporate law in Australia by registering a business and giving an Australian address when you actually live in Cambodia and are the head of the tax department here.
I think that business before I start working in Cambodia, long time ago, But
No,
I
it was actually registered not that long ago. I've got the company extract
no,
here.
but I transfer to the other person already. Maybe the record is not updated.
So you don't really know anything about that company, Panarid Pty Limited?
Yes, it closed down a long time ago. Yeah, I got nothing to do with in Australia.
Right. These companies have been...
Mark Zernzak believes Australia's corporate database is accurate.
He is the sole beneficiary of this company. He's the sole beneficial owner of this company. And for the company to keep going, someone's got to be paying an annual registration fee to keep it registered here in Australia. So it stretches belief to think that he doesn't know this company exists.
Vibol Kong's Australian business associates raise even more red flags. From 2006, he set up 2 investment companies and several trusts with an Australian-Cambodian couple who was soon after convicted of defrauding the Australian Tax Department of more than $1.8 million and suspected of laundering and hiding nearly $15 million. Vibol Kong denies knowing about the conviction or being in business with them.
But you had businesses with him from around about 2006, and he was convicted, and it made the newspapers in Australia at the beginning of 2007.
I was not aware of any conviction. I told the guy, don't involve anything with me at all, because don't use my name, and I never get any interest out of that. So I think your information is wrong.
So not
no,
involved
no.
in any businesses
Yes.
with him,
Yes.
even though Australian records show you
Yes,
were.
I'm not involved.
So they're false.
Yes.
As is the Cambodia company registry.
Yes.
It's false about your family's company.
Exactly.
But 2013 Australian court documents reveal otherwise. He did even more business with the couple. Big business, transferring 1.2 million Australian dollars into an investment trust they'd set up.
I can't remember that transaction, no. The money
It's
is
a
long
lot
time.
of money.
Yes,
It's
long
not
time.
every day you transfer
Yes, but
1.2 million.
I cannot remember that I transfer to that account, you know, because somebody can use my name to do that.
So even though your affidavit, signed affidavit, I believe witnessed by the Australian Embassy, clearly states that you transferred $1.2 million into the account, the
When was
business
that?
account. When was it?
Yeah.
2013.
How you get those information? Because
It's freely available in Australia. We have access to court records. How have you managed to accumulate your wealth, given that you have no businesses in Cambodia under your name?
I don't want to talk about it.
Right.
So this is a very large sum of money for a senior government official, which appears quite disproportionate to that official's official level of salary. This should have set off a huge alarm bell as a potential risk for money laundering type activities or proceeds of crime type activity.
What concerns me most is that how authorities seem to be turning a blind eye to all the activities which are happening.
Kalyan Key is part of Melbourne's large Cambodian community. She doesn't know Vibol Kong, but says other senior members of government and their families have made Melbourne a hotbed of illicit activity.
The money laundering, the drug trafficking, for the human rights abuses that happen are glaringly obvious and an open secret in the community.
Until recently, she worked as an advisor to the Hun Sen government, alongside the Prime Minister's son and heir apparent, Hun Manet. But says she stopped when she became disillusioned with the flagrant corruption of officials.
The main figures in Cambodian politics at the moment has a connection to Australia. The richest man in Cambodia is also Australian. So there's a lot of interest in ensuring that the Cambodian Australian community remains with the current government, because there's a lot of connections that is important, and a lot of informal connections.
What do you mean by informal activities?
Informal being as in it's illegal, kind of black market community.
Collyanne says the smuggling of luxury goods and cash, as well as drugs, is rife among the ruling party elite, and that government and military officials regularly transfer large sums of money to family or associates in Australia with few questions asked.
Maybe to buy a house or a car, and the bank would just call up and say, where'd you get that money from? And then if you just answer, it's family money, they don't follow it up.
And in Australia, there are some very well-connected family members. Prime Minister Hun Sen's nephew, Hun To, is married to an Australian-Cambodian woman and is a regular visitor to Melbourne. While in town, he drives around in this Lamborghini with personalised number plates. Australian authorities reportedly suspect him of being involved in trafficking drugs.
Everyone knows that what he's doing is not right. They know where the money's coming from. They know all the human rights abuses, but we don't say much about it because I think people are a bit scared and concerned.
Hun To doesn't have any property in his name, but his wife has a multi-million-dollar portfolio. Her most recent known property purchase is this land, bought for more than $800,000 with no mortgage. A luxury home is now being built. This motorbike importing business is owned by another member of Hun Sen's family, his son-in-law Vichir D, who is head of the Cambodian Police Security Unit. On Australian company documents, he also falsely claims to live in Melbourne.
If you were engaged in criminal activity, having a legitimate business that was doing importing is a great way to allow you to use your proceeds launder your proceeds of crime. And that does make it a challenge for law enforcement.
Collyanne Key says she and others in her community have made complaints about the criminal activities of Cambodia's ruling elite in Australia.
I have raised concerns with the Australian government. I've raised concerns with the Australian ambassador, and the response is the same. Like, it's not our priority, and this is not what we are here to do. So we're here to make good friendship with the Cambodian government. So what they're allowing them to do is have these informal, illicit activities happen. So they are somewhat endorsing corruption.
The Australian government refutes Collyanne Key's claims it condones illicit activities. Back in Cambodia, with the election imminent, the government crackdown continues. In the northwest province of Battambang, Sin Chan Pua Rosette is watching out for potential customers for her noodle restaurant. Just a year ago, she was on the hustings as an opposition party's candidate in the nationwide commune elections. Triumphant at the polls, she defeated the ruling party's commune chief, who'd been in the position for 15 years. But within just a few months, she was stripped of her victory.
តាមពិតទៅសម្រាប់ពួកខ្ញុំគឺខ្ញុំមិននឹកស្មានថាគណៈបកសង្គ្រោះជាតិដែលមានការគាំទ្រពីប្រជាពលរដ្ឋជាង 3 លាននាក់ត្រូវបានគេរំលាយផុយៗបែបហ្នឹងយើងវាអយុត្តិធម៌បំផុតហើយពេលហ្នឹងគឺខ្ញុំមានការគ្រប់គ្រងមានអារម្មណ៍គ្រប់គ្រងមិនមែនយើងស្ដាយទូនាទីស្ដាយតំណែងទេតែយើងអាណិតពលរដ្ឋរបស់យើង
Rosette now relies on her restaurant to survive, having rejected pressure to defect to the government.
មានប្រសាសន៍ថាអ្នកណាដែលចោះចូលទៅជាមួយគាត់គឺតំណែងចៅសង្កាត់គឺនៅតែចៅសង្កាត់ដដែលប៉ុន្តែអ្នកដែលគេមានឧត្តមគតិគិតអំពីប្រយោជន៍ជាតិមាតុភូមិចង់ជួយប្រជាពលរដ្ឋពិតប្រាកដគឺមិនអាចទិញដូរបានទេ
And that wasn't the end of the pressure.
ហើយរហូតដល់ នៅពេលដែលចោតខ្ញុំក្នុងរយៈពេលថ្មីដែលគេចោតគឺគេអំពាវនាវឲ្យអាជ្ញាធរសមត្ថកិច្ចមកឃ្លាំមើលខ្ញុំឃើញសមត្ថកិច្ចខ្លះស្ពាយកាភ្លើងជិះកាត់មុខហាងនាងខ្ញុំជារូបភាពបំផិតបំភ័យដល់បងប្អូនដែលគាត់ចង់មកទទួលទានលែងហ៊ានចូលស្ងាត់ឲ្យជ្រាប
But Rosette refuses to be scared or silenced.
ខ្ញុំផ្ទាល់ខ្ញុំអត់ទៅបោះឆ្នោតទេនៅដេកផ្ទះឬមួយថ្ងៃហ្នឹងខ្ញុំនៅបើកហាងលក់នំបញ្ចុកឬមួយក៏ថ្ងៃហ្នឹងខ្ញុំទៅដើរលេងរងចាំការឈ្នះ
It's a risky statement in today's Cambodia, where anyone calling for a boycott is punished as a traitor. 25 years since the Paris Peace Agreement promised to bring democracy to Cambodia, the country is slipping further and further away from it.